Bella Kelly was born in 1915 at a traditional birthing place just north of Mount Barker and grew up on a farm just slightly west of the township of Mount Barker. It was a farm owned by the Edgerton Warburtons, and there she became firm friends with Kitty Edgerton Warburton. And Kitty was a lifelong friend to Bella and a great source of encouragement and influence. By her mid-teens, Bella was working as a domestic in farmhouses in the Great Southern, working in the household and looking after children. And this work took her to Narrogin. And in Narrogin, she met Mrs. Edwards, Mrs. Flo Edwards, who was a member of the Native Welfare Committee. Dr. Jacobs was another member of that committee. And they were a terrific influence on Bella by encouraging her with her art.
Bella came along to one of the meetings that Mrs. Edwards had, and she brought out a little autograph book. And Mrs. Edwards said it was a very grubby little autograph book, but when she opened it, she couldn't but help be surprised at the quality of the artwork in it. And Mrs. Edwards thought if she could do this with pencils and crayons, what could she do with paints? Mrs. Edwards bought her a box of paints. Bella went away and came back a week later with some, as was Mrs. Edwards described, some very lovely paintings.
She used to sit underneath the tree with the old sisters and the families that used to be all around her, her son Simpson. And she used to sit down and do her paintings and that.
On the sandy banks.
Hey?
You were saying on the sandy banks?
Yeah.
From seeing Mum doing her bush art or around the campfire, she was teaching them the same as she learned. She taught them to use charcoal, which was the cold fire ash on an enamel plate was her way of doing it. The boys were taught just like Bella was. Those two eldest boys were taught by Bella. So by the time the boys got to Carrolup in the mid-1940s, they had seen Mum doing her art. Likewise, her nephews and the boys' cousins who played with them had also seen Bella doing her art.
There are striking similarities between Bella Kelly's paintings and those produced by the child artists at Carrolup. And these, obviously they're landscape paintings and they're influenced by the traditional sort of Western view of the landscape. As you can see, the scene in the painting is framed very often by these very strong tree trunks. And then the viewer's eye is taken through the picture with different techniques like the receding fence line posts or a stream. And you can see, looking at the works from Carrolup artists and Bella Kelly, that there are these similarities. And fundamentally, they're about the landscape that they lived in. And they speak very strongly of that connection to the country.
Whenever she got a little bit homesick and she would come back to Mount Barker, she would always go and have a visit with Kitty Edgerton Warburton, and then she'd look out at her Stirling Ranges, and the Stirlings were very, very special to her.
We used to take Mum there was a spot there that she could see the Stirlings, probably where she could paint. We used to stop and she used to get her painting gear out and sit down and paint. We used to take a little chair out for her, let her sit down.
Not so much as a spiritual thing in Aboriginal terms, but more as a thing of solace for her. In her troubled life, she knew the Stirlings were always out there. Anything might happen in her life, but if she wanted some solace, she would turn to the Stirlings. They were always there. And it was the sleeping lady in the Stirlings, which was something very special to Bella. And it wasn't till towards the end of her life that I came to realise that she would paint the sleeping lady from different directions. Some she would say, is she going to have a sad day or a happy day? And then it took me ages to work out that was whether it was on the left of the painting or the right of the painting. So that's how special it was, and that was something I don't think she ever shared too much with people.
Bella Kelly moved around a lot, and wherever she went, she was selling her paintings. So I've been able to, I guess, trace her footsteps through the 60s, 70s and 80s by where people bought her paintings. And each time I've had a call from someone who says they have a Bella Kelly painting, there's a story associated with it about where they bought it. So that means I've been able to sort of see how much she did move around and where she sort of stayed for a while. For example, when she was in Tamble up in the early 1970s, that seemed to be a period where she was actually there for a couple of years and selling very actively in that town.
Mr. Jones used to sit there yarning with her for a while. He was a very nice gentleman. She used to ask him if he wanted to buy paintings and that. And then he used to pull money out of the cashier and give her a fair bob.
One of the aspects of the research for this exhibition which I found really fascinating is how Bella marketed her paintings, how she got out there and sold them. And I think from a very early stage she was aware that she had a talent that she could use to earn some money. And these were the days when there were just very, very basic rations given to Aboriginal people, supplemented at times by any farm work that family members could get. So Bella's paintings and her ability to sell them really became an important source of income for both herself and her family. Generations of artists have sort of followed her lead. 50 or so artworks that span 5 decades of her life. This exhibition really sort of establishes Bella's significance in the Noongar art story.
She travelled around a lot, and everywhere she went she sold her paintings, and just for a little or nothing. I know that a lot of people bought a lot. I'm very grateful for what they've done, and it touched our hearts to see the work that's here today.